Again, Paul Pierce, the truth. Um, legendary Boston Celtic. Played there the majority of his career. Actually, yeah, from '98 to 2013, he played for the Celtics. So almost 10 years. He played the majority of his career there. He's a Celtics legend. He was a 10-time All-Star, all with the Celtics. In 2008 with Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett. He won a title. The Celtics' only title in recent memory. Three-time All-NBA third team, 2002, 2013, 2008. Made one NBA All-Second team. Made some controversial things. In the finals, his only finals, he won the MVP in 2008 against the Lakers after he said he was a better player than Kobe Bryant. Now, I grew up in Newfoundland, and people aren't really huge Celtics fans. Basketball isn't really big. Wasn't really big. It's bigger now because you have at least two generations growing up with basketball instead of hockey. But I remember when he played there, it was the anything is possible year. And after he said he thought he was a better player than Kobe Bryant, I find that hard to believe. As even the biggest Paul Pierce fans will go, Kobe's a better player, just all time. As number 34, retired by Boston, he now works as everybody knows he is the hometown, the homie, the hometown guy for a TNT. Boston can't do a thing wrong for him. Again, he played a majority of his career there, won a title. And if you're a Raptors fan, you don't really like Paul Pierce. For a while, he's probably the most hated man in Raptors history. And that's including Vince Carter, who Raptors fans really hated Vince Carter for a really long time. That's actually when I started watching basketball, was around that time. And I remember the clown show that was Vince Carter before he left. We're not really here to talk about his time in the Boston Celtics. We all know how that happened. He was a heart and soul guy. Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen joined the Celtics to give him a shot at winning a title. We're actually here to talk about his time in Brooklyn. It was 2013, 2014. Brooklyn had just moved. They also moved that year, the year before, from New Jersey. They had a new owner. They had a new GM, Billy King. They wanted to make a big splash, so they ended up trading 3 first-round draft picks and some roster players to the Boston Celtics in exchange for Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Jason Terry. The idea behind this was Brooklyn had Deron Williams at the time, and this was before Deron Williams was a joke. He's not in the NBA right now. He didn't really produce. He played pretty well in Utah, but it's always been kind of a joke. People were actually legitimately saying he was the second best point guard in the league behind Chris Paul. Now, Chris Paul is still fairly talented and a top 10 point guard right now with the Oklahoma City Thunder, and Deron Williams is, I believe, in the big three. Last I checked, I believe he was in the big three. They thought, you know what, it's a chance to win a title. We can do it. They didn't. He only played a year in Brooklyn. He played 75 games there, starting in 68 regular season games. Put up decent numbers. I mean, 13.5 points in 28 minutes a game. Not MVP level, and not prime Paul Pierce level, but he was a little older, and he had a different cast. And it looked pretty well. You thought he could do it. But then the playoffs started. Now they did, put up the Toronto Raptors in 6 games. I remember working at Canadian Tire at the time in, where was I? Sorry, just a second. I know I was working at Canadian Tire. I was selling MasterCards at the time. And I believe I was in Carbonear, staying at a hotel, and it happened. And he blocked a shot. And, Boston and Toronto play each other a lot. They're playing each other right now in the playoffs. They play each other a lot all the time. Toronto and Boston always have a rivalry in any sport. Toronto's biggest rivalry, believe it or not, is actually Montreal. Montreal doesn't have an NBA team. Montreal doesn't have a baseball team. They have a bit of a rivalry. Boston's biggest rivalry is New York, but the Knicks for a long time have sucked, for lack of better words. I don't need to tell you that the Knicks are a bad team. The Knicks have historically been a bad team. I can't even remember the Knicks being a good team. I can't remember when the Knicks were in the playoffs. I think the last time we were in the playoffs and they had Melo. Yeah, and Stoudemire. The Knicks have historically been a bad team. I don't even know how you that's. Now I'm not telling you to as a tool, and even look at the NBA. At the NBA, MLB, there's huge rivalries there. Obviously, growing up, the biggest rivalry I heard about Boston was always Montreal. That's just because I grew up watching hockey. From Newfoundland, believe me, I didn't even have basketball on my TV until the Raptors came in. So, yeah. I remember when that trade went down. I remember I was working. They lost to Toronto. I expected them to. They also, in 6, they then lost to the Miami Heat. This was Miami Heat's super team. This was, Miami's Miami. This was the Wade, Bosh, LeBron, Miami. They lost in 6. And then Paul Pierce left. Now, it's come out since that he was a free agent that year. And he signed with Washington. It actually had come out since, because Paul Pierce does talk quite a bit for a living. He does talk basketball. He is an analyst on TNT. That he left because of Darren Williams. Darren Williams, hey, because Paul Pierce originally asked for the trade. I'm not sure if I mentioned that before, but he wanted to go. He thought, I want to win another title. I've won one, getting a little older. I want to win another one before I retire. And he's thinking Brooklyn had the best shot at winning. They had Darren Williams, who everyone was thinking was the second best player. We got to make some contracts. I have Jason Terry. Jason Terry wants to move there as well. They had to convince Kevin Garnett to waive his no trade clause to go there. Thinking, we got Darren Williams. We can do this. We have really a shot at winning. We have a short window, but we can win. And it come out that the year after that, it was Darren Williams' compete level. They were looking at him as a top 2 playoff, top 2 point guard in the league at the time. You just didn't want him. I don't know what kind of job you have or what you're doing now, but we all have that person. We all know that person who has all the potential in the world. But when it comes to crunch time, they just don't want to go the extra mile, which is odd because, if Kevin Garnett can't motivate you to do something, and you're in Brooklyn, you're making all this money, you're the face of a franchise, and you're just not motivated, you don't want it bad enough. It's an odd thing. But he just didn't want it. He left and went to Washington. It was odd seeing Paul Pierce as the Brooklyn Net, especially with the rivalry between him and Boston. Brooklyn also has a rivalry with Boston. But it was just a weird look. Anyway, hit like and subscribe if you're just browsing your way through. And my IG and Twitter will be all down below. And like I said, he only played 75 games in the regular season for them. He put up decent numbers. It was 28 minutes a game and 13.5 points. Not prime Paul Pierce, but not bad. Not bad for your, maybe your third, maybe your fourth option. Not bad. They made it 2 rounds in the playoffs, and he put up decent numbers in the playoffs. He played only 12 games. He played in all 6 games. He started all 12. He did play in the full 6 games against the Raptors. He did block a game-winning shot for the Raptors that would have forced it overtime. In 6, played pretty well in the playoffs. I mean, he put up 13.7 points a game in 30 minutes, so a little longer on the minute side. He played a little more. But the playoffs, you play your players a little more. And yeah, he started last 12 games. The regular season, he started 68 out of 75. Not bad. But you can also end the season. You can take games off. You can not start your guys. You can run guys off the bench. You can do a little different. And yeah, they lost to the Miami Heat in 6 games. And he left. And the year after, Kevin Garnett went back to Minnesota. It was just a weird thing for the Brooklyn Nets to do. And it's actually weird seeing Paul Pierce in a Brooklyn Nets jersey. It wasn't a long time. It was supposed to be this big thing. It just didn't work out. Anyway, if you like this video, hit like. If you really liked it, share it with a couple of your friends. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe. My Twitter and Instagram are down below, so you can follow me on either. It doesn't really charge you anything, but, it's good to get karma. And hope you all have a wonderful evening, and goodbye.